Hey everyone, welcome to Lead Organizing Skills for Grassroots Advocates. I'm Ari Conrad, I use they, them pronouns, and I'm the manager at Grassroots Advocacy here at NCJW. I'll be managing along with Hannah Cohen-Smith, who's also on. We'll be taking care of the back-end tech side today. We are super excited that you are able to join us this afternoon. Lead is our monthly webinar series that focuses on a different organizing and advocacy skill each month, so be sure to check back in the future and see what we're offering. And also search our website we'll include a link in the follow-up email because we upload all of our webinars every month to our website. The time is the same every month. It's 1:30 p.m. Eastern time, and we always record. So definitely make sure to check back later. A few housekeeping notes before we get started. You should have entered the chat muted, and we want to keep folks muted throughout. We had a really large attendance, and so background noise can become distracting for folks to hear. However, we also really want to make sure to answer your questions. So if you have questions, please type them out and drop them in the chat box. I'll go ahead and put the housekeeping notes there in a minute, so it should pop up for you. If you have ongoing tech issues throughout the webinar, reach out to either myself or Hannah, and we can try and troubleshoot with you. But do want to note we have some fairly limited capacity while the webinar is running, and we'll drop our emails in the chat box as well. And just a gentle reminder that we are recording again today, and we'll upload it to our website after. And without further delay, I'd like to introduce our two facilitators for this month. We are very excited to be joined by Amanda Lang, the Director of Marketing and Communications here at NCJW National, and Christy Wasson, the Director of Communications and Programming at NCJW Minnesota. Who are both experts in how to use social media to further our advocacy, and so we're very excited to be able to learn from them and have this conversation. And so with that, I will kick it off to Amanda.
Hi, I'm Amanda Lang. For those of you who don't know me, I know a lot of the people who are on this call, but I will kick it off to Christy in a few minutes, but I'm going to walk you through a PowerPoint, and I promise not to make it too boring, or at least I'll attempt not to make it too boring. And then I'll take questions at the end. And as Ari said, please just put your questions in the chat box and we will get to them. And I know many of you submitted questions in advance. We have those. You don't have to repeat them, but if you're afraid we missed them, go ahead and put them back in the chat box again. So I'm sharing my screen currently. I hope everybody can see it. Just nod if you can see the PowerPoint. It should say NCJW, National Council of Jewish Women, Digital. Great. Terrific. All right, so first thing we want to do is introduce you to the national team, the communications team at least. So I'm there in the top left corner, Amanda Lang. I use she, her pronouns. Alicia Smith right next to me is the associate of marketing, is the communications and marketing associate. She also uses she, her pronouns. Stephanie Cohen in the bottom left is the associate director of marketing and communications. I don't know where that picture was taken, but it looks really fun. Also she, her, and Suzanne Kroll, who is our senior writer. She lives in Maine. And she writes most of our press releases and a lot of the other things that you see come out of the national office. Also she, her. So that's us. Now you know what we look like. If you ever need to ask us questions or give us a call, you'll have a face to put with the name. Okay, using social media for digital advocacy. This is just a definition here. Digital advocacy is the use of digital technology to contact, inform, and mobilize a group of concerned people around an issue or cause. The purpose of digital advocacy is to galvanize supporters to take action. Basically, everything that you would have done in a campaign when we didn't have the internet can now be done on the internet as well. We haven't completely jettisoned old tactics of advocacy, but now we have a whole new form to reach people in a much faster and more concise way. Hold on, I need to keep moving my little box of people around. Okay, so this overview, this slide, just so that you all know, is the kinds of, it's a smattering of the types of digital advocacy we do. We're going to concentrate in this webinar on just social media, but just so that everybody knows what you can do with a bigger team and a bigger office. And certainly we're only 4 people at a really big place. There's even more than this. We send out emails. I'm certain you all get a lot of our emails. Sometimes I'm certain you get too many of our emails. But once a week on Fridays, we send out a wrap up, which is essentially all the things you need to be paying attention to on the Hill, and what we're doing on the grassroots side. We send out action alerts, which come out during the week and are very specific to an action that we want people to take. So WIPA, the Women's Health Protection Act, is coming up. We ask people to call their senators. We sent one out today on a resolution in the Senate. Those are the types of things that you'll see in your inbox. Those are what we call our action alert emails, or mass emailing. Digital fundraising, we also ask for money online. We don't do it as often as many people do it, but we do ask for money online. The website, there's content development, so all of the things you see on the website, the written words, the photographs, everything like that. SEO, which is a way to measure how your words do on the internet, essentially. So it's certain words give you a larger audience, and so you measure what you put on your website and what words you're using to gain a bigger and broader audience. So if we want people, when they type in Jewish women, to find NCJW first, that all has to do with how we write the words for our website. Microsites, which we have not done very many of, but they're a way to highlight a specific campaign. So if you want to do a campaign on a Supreme Court justice or on a piece of health legislation, you can do a whole microsite dedicated just to that, so that everyone can get all of the tools that they need all in one place at any given time. The lead webinars, you're on one now. We have them every month, and they are a way for us over the internet to reach a lot of people and give them skills, have discussions, and really sort of boost that advocacy level. So I saved social media for last because that's what we're going to be talking about. But it's up in the right-hand corner. Currently, we in the national office use Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Medium. They are all different. They all serve different purposes. And we're going to go through a bunch of them in the later part of this webinar, but they're long form, short form, and video-based social media. So YouTube is clearly the video-based social media. Medium is long form, so you'll see things that look like op-eds on Medium. Facebook and Twitter are short form. Instagram is also short form, but mostly pictures. So, and we're gonna move on. If I'm talking too fast, just somebody write that in the chat. Okay. Again, sorry, I have to just move my pictures around. What you should use social media, why should you I can read. Why should you use social media for advocacy? Social media has a massive platform, and depending on which subset of the population you're trying to reach, it is an easy way to reach millions of people in a really short period of time. Women in their 40s and 50s, like me, are on Facebook in droves. Facebook is if you want to reach those women, that's your place. Twitter skews slightly younger and a little more wonky. Instagram skews even younger than that, although people across all age groups are starting to use it. It provides a cost-effective way to connect with others. It's largely free. If you do want to pay for a post, you can pay as little as $5 up to $100 is a crazy amount to pay for an ad on Twitter or Facebook. You get a huge amount of bang for your buck. They offer efficient resources to inform and collect support from the community. There are all kinds of ways to segment. There are all kinds of ways to reach people, to have special groups. to make sure that you get the right support from the people that you're looking for. And it can connect you with almost every lawmaker who uses social media. And I, off the top of my head, can't think of one who doesn't. They may not populate it themselves, but that doesn't mean they aren't on there, particularly on Twitter. And it connects you with reporters. This is my favorite part, particularly Twitter, connects you with reporters who use social media to get their own work out there. It's made it easier for reporters to promote their own work. And so if you know that there's a reporter in your community who works on issues who writes about issues that you really care about and that you work on in your community, you should be following them on social media, because it'll be another way for you to have a connection point with media. Okay, who should use social media? Everyone. I mean, personally, it drives me crazy. I'll just be completely honest here. It drives me crazy to look at it all the time. But everyone and every campaign should be using it to promote your advocacy work. You don't have to go on there and respond to every little thing that ticks you off. If I did that, I would be in a hole under the ground with like a blanket on top of my head. It would drive me completely insane. But your advocacy campaign can seriously benefit from even the tiniest bit of social media. The perception that it only reaches young people is false. As I said, Facebook is a hotbed of women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. We're their biggest audience at this point. And it's just getting bigger. Every time we think it's going to get smaller, we're wrong. And it's all over the world. So depending on who you want to reach and how you want to reach them, all of these forms of social media they're your way to get into the nooks and crannies of places that you otherwise wouldn't be able to visit. Oh, I'm going to just say this because it's on my piece of paper to say, and also because I think you should. Follow national, follow NCJW national, follow your local section, follow other sections. They have things on, you'll learn things just from following, and you may have things that, one, you want to share, or two, you want to write something yourself about. I learn things all the time from following our sections. They're doing amazing work all over the country that I still, 2.5 years of being here, sometimes don't know about. And social media is an easy way for me to keep following. Okay, 4 skills you need to use to drive social change and to use social media effectively. The first one is focus. I sometimes have trouble with this one. You can ask my staff. They're all sitting here with me laughing. First, set goals. Then figure out how that's going to make an impact. Goal setting is your friend. Figure out what your goal needs to be. Who do you want to reach? Why do you want to reach them? What's the end result here? The second is to grab attention. We all know we are scrolling through feeds and it becomes overwhelming. There are ways to stick out. There are ways to make yourself known. Whether that's through graphics, whether that's through the words that you choose, whether that's through how often you post, and we'll go through some of that in a little bit. But grabbing attention is really important, and it's hard to do. It's probably the hardest thing on this list. Engage. Have people connect to your goal. So if you have a goal, you can figure out ways to get people to connect to that goal. So if your goal is to shine a light on anti-Semitism in your community, then everything that you do in relation to that goal should be there to make other people out there connect to it. And we're going to talk a little bit more about how to do that. It really has to do with how you connect to people. And then take action. This is a way to give others things to do so that they help you move the needle. Okay, and now we're going to get to the actual tips and tricks, like how do you do those things part. Facebook. So we're going to start with Facebook because it's at this point the oldest of the media that we are looking at. And and it's probably the most utilized in certain ways. So the number one biggest rule is to keep it short. People's attention spans are very, very short these days. They're scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Keep it short. We used to say keep it simple, stupid. Now I'm just going to say keep it short. Make it visual. Anything visual has a bigger impact. You can use, you can make graphics. You can steal our graphics. Anything that you ever see from National that you want to use, call me up. I will send it to you. There are also really easy and free graphic making programs that even I can use, which is saying a lot, like Canva, C-A-N-V-A. It's an easy thing to use. Post regularly. On Facebook, it's probably at least once a day. I would say 5 to 8 or 9 times a week is probably good for Facebook. You don't want to overdo it. We're going to get to Twitter in a minute, where overdoing it is not such a bad thing. But Facebook, you don't want to overdo it. You don't want people to get sick of your feed. Activate your biggest fans. You have people on there who will be following you regularly. Follow them back. Every time someone likes or shares a comment, it's a way for you to continue getting your message out to their fan base as well. So, and this is inclusive. So it's on Facebook, but then it's also when you are at your next board meeting, asking everybody to follow the section on Facebook or follow you on Facebook, and make sure that they're sharing your posts. Let's see, promote your events and programming. So Facebook offers a really easy way for, if you have an event, to let the entire community know about it if it's going to be open. It's a really, really easy thing to do. You can invite people to co-sponsor. You can have it up there. And it's super user friendly. If you just go in and there's a thing on the side that says events, and you can create an event. Very easy to do. And it's also a way to push traffic to your website. If you want people on your website, either for membership or donations, or just to peruse around so that you get more hits on that website, which also helps. Facebook's a great way to do that. You can engage people and then always have a button on there that says, go to our website. That's Facebook. Let's see, Twitter. Twitter's a little bit different. It used to be only 140 characters. Now you can put up to 280, and you'll see people writing novels on there. I don't encourage you to start out that way, but depending on how long you're doing it and how savvy you get with it, there are ways to make Twitter a little bit longer than the original 140 characters. But first, the first rule of Twitter is hashtags. You are nothing on Twitter if you don't have a hashtag. It's a way to reach a broader audience. It's a way to make sure that your post or tweet is always included with a certain grouping. Don't try and create your own hashtags. I mean, you can sometimes for events, but creating your own hashtags is difficult. They're usually used by other people. It's not worth your time. But if you want to post something for Pride Month, there are 100 hashtags out there. Go look at the other groups that you follow. Go look at groups that you really care about. Use their hashtags. Literally, you can just say hashtag Pride Month and it'll get you there. And then your post will be with everybody else's posts in the same category. Make it visual. This is the same as Facebook. Graphics and pictures make everything better. It makes everybody stop. And don't worry, it won't get too confused with ads. They're usually pretty obvious. Post regularly. Twitter, as I said before, is a place where you can post a lot. I would aim in the beginning for 3 or 4 a day. And some of those, remember, can be retweets. You can see someone else's tweet that you really like, and just, there's a little button at the bottom that looks like 2 arrows that intersect. Just click it, and it'll retweet it. It'll ask you if you want to say something too, or if you just want to retweet, go for it. Tag. Um, you want to call out the people you're talking about in your post. You want to call out reporters. You want to call out elected officials. You want to call out newspapers. And then you want to call out the people who helped you. If you had partners in this, in something that was a success or something that you're doing, you want to call out your partners because they have audiences as well. Plus, you just want to be nice because that's who we are. We're nice people. But we also want to gather those audiences. We want them to know that we were all involved in this effort. Again, you can promote events and programming on Twitter. It's not hard. It's a good way to reach a lot of people. And same as Facebook, it pushes traffic to your website. Okay, so now I am going to turn this over to Christy. Christy Wesson, who is from NCJW Minnesota. And I'm just going to say before she hops on, I know she's on, but before she starts talking, that I am consistently impressed in the digital advocacy that comes out of Minnesota and the work that they do. And they do some really, really fun things on social media. You should follow them. So Christy, take it away.
Hi. Hi, everybody. My name is Christy Wesson. Oh, hi, Alejandra. I see you from the chat. She's an old member and we miss her. It's nice to see everybody here. I'm a little, Amanda, I'm sorry. Are we doing a question and answer or am I going
to do a question and answer at the end, but I just want you to talk for like 3 minutes about the kind of social media that you use in Minnesota. And
oh, great. Yeah, perfect. So I love social media. I have a love-hate with social media, but in particular, in this environment, social media has really elevated our presence in not only the Jewish community, but the advocacy community and the organizing community here in the Twin Cities. So we use here mostly Facebook that Amanda spoke about, Twitter, and we are just starting to delve into Instagram a little bit too. But the interesting thing about using those 3 platforms, which tend to be, like I said, the biggest ones that we incorporate, are really that you can use them together and kind of play off of one another and kind of link them. So you're reaching a broader audience and leveraging the audience that you have. So some things that have been really successful for us, or I guess I should back up a little bit. In my day-to-day, what I like to do typically is post to Facebook at least once a day on the NCJW Minnesota account. And that could be anything from events that we have coming up to things that are going on in our world, to funny memes just to get people's attention and keep people engaged. So I try and do that at least once a day, if not twice. Facebook is something that I don't like to overload too much because it just gets, I think some people get annoyed with seeing the same people over and over in your feed. So Twitter, on the other hand, I like to use multiple times a day. And Twitter is really easy to use in that, like Amanda said, you can retweet a particularly national or if you're following other sections or affiliates, which everybody should be doing, retweeting, lifting up their audience or lifting up their work to increase everybody's visibility. So we're all kind of working together. And Instagram is just, again, like Amanda said, Instagram is really just such a visual, visual platform, and people love, here, let me tell you guys something actually. Here's a little secret that I didn't plan on telling you, but I'm gonna tell you. People love food, pictures of food. I know it's weird. But on Friday, if you have a Shabbat message, post some challah. Like, people love that. And people love to see other people. And particularly what has been successful for us, and I'm not sure if any of you are utilizing this, but Facebook Live, where you actually have live video from an event. So recently we had a Stop Abortion bans at our Minnesota State Capitol, and I literally went live from the beginning of that rally till the end, scanned the audience a little bit, showed the speakers, and it just gives people in the audience a chance to actually feel like they're there and feel like they're engaging, even if they physically can't be there. So yeah, so I think, you know, what's been successful for us, like I said, is really being intentional about what we're posting and what is going on in current events. And then, like I said, food and people are always winners. You're going to get engagement on both of those things.
Thank you, Christy. I'm actually going to ask you a few questions now, if you don't mind.
I would love that.
Okay, good. So you talked about how NCJW Minnesota overall uses social media, but I'm curious, what's your target audience, and is it different for different media?
Yeah, I think our target audience, like you spoke to, and you know, I kind of take offense to this because I just turned 45 yesterday, and I still consider myself a young person, but I'm not. But we target mostly our membership, which tends to be women in that 40s to 50s range. But if we have certain events that we want to get, if we're organizing, doing something on in an advocacy space where we really want to get younger people there, I will try and use maybe Twitter and Instagram, just because, like we had mentioned earlier, those tend to skew a little bit to the younger demographic.
Great. So we talked a little bit, or I talked a little bit about hashtags and tagging. Can you talk about the difference between the two of them and when to use which?
Yes. So hashtags, for example, while you guys were speaking earlier, I just went on my personal Twitter account to see what was trending, which are things that are trending. I mean, it's like, so right now, and I think NCJW posted something about this either yesterday or today about Juneteenth, about the anniversary of the end of slavery, and hashtag Juneteenth will bring up a gazillion articles, quotes, events that are going on around this event, Juneteenth. Or today is Juneteenth, I apologize, sorry. Yesterday was my birthday, so I'm all So anyway, so if you want to look, if you want to find something specifically, if you're looking for a specific something to, you know, you want to post an article about Juneteenth, and you actually look for Juneteenth as a hashtag, and it will bring up, you know, a whole slew of things. And I think that the key is that you know that if Juneteenth is trending and you type something and you put something out on Twitter and you put the hashtag Juneteenth, you know that other people are looking for that hashtag too. And again, that just elevates and leverages your audience and just, I think, shows it to so many more people. So the difference between that and like, I'll give an example of how we tag people in posts. So we do a lot of work with a Muslim women's group here on a lot of different advocacy issues. And a lot of times on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, I will tag them so that they show up in a particular post. So then they see it, they can retweet it or share it with their audience. And again, that just continues to kind of build the audience and the visibility that the post gets. Does that make sense?
To me.
I'm happy to clarify if it doesn't for anybody else.
So I'm going to ask you, I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway. What is the actual method that you use to, like, how do you do it logistically?
You froze a little bit there. Can you repeat the question?
I'm just going to say it. So just to tag people in a post, just in case for anybody who doesn't know, it's where you use the @ symbol and then type in their name. And usually they'll pop in right below, and then you just choose who you mean. So if you type @NCJW Minnesota, it'll pop up. You'll see it in the list below, grab it, and it automatically populates in your post.
It populates and it shows up as being bold. So then you know that they're actually tagged, or they're actually going to show up, or they're be notified that they were tagged in a post. I
want to say something else about hashtags in terms of advocacy. sometimes using one hashtag for a big advocacy event can force it to trend. And then you get an even bigger audience. It's one of those like sort of goal setting things. If we want something to trend that we think is really, really important out in the community, we'll get a whole bunch of people together to post as much as we possibly can. When you hear about tweet storms, or what are they called? Thunderclaps? Thunderclaps. Like I'm talking to a kid. And it's a way for people to like force that hashtag to the top of a list so that more people see it. Okay, we're gonna keep talking about Twitter. What makes, from your perspective, Christy, an effective tweet?
I personally am a fan of any social medium, but particularly Twitter. The shorter, the better. Using keywords, key phrases, hashtags, like you said, using a visual of some sort, something that's attention grabbing and is quick and to the point, and actually might leave the reader wanting a little bit more, I think is always super effective.
Great. Do you use Facebook Live? We're going to switch to Facebook now.
Yes, I love Facebook Live. It's been so, I was just looking at some of the live videos that we've done, and I really encourage you, not that I want any of you to see me on camera, but we do a lot of videos, like I said, at events, particularly like the Women's March back in 2017. We got a huge number of hits because, again, people were kind of searching. If they couldn't show up to a march, they would like to feel like they're there, and it makes them feel like they're there. And we had like 1,500 views, and people, which is a lot for us actually, watching the video, which eventually hopefully leads to more engagement. And oftentimes, like we have my board president, who we adore, we will, when the Kavanaugh hearings were going on, we would do just like little short Facebook Lives talking about what's going on, what kind of advocacy we could do, what kind of things we could do going forward. And we would tag ourselves, the organization, and invite our friends to watch. And it's amazing how quickly that moves and how quickly the engagement, ratchets up when you start doing stuff like that. Oh, you guys, I'm sorry, that's my phone. And again, like we kept it light, we kept it kind of funny, even though it wasn't funny at all. But just, kept it kind of fun and engaging, and, you feel like you're actually talking to your friend in your living room. And I think things like that can be super effective to get people interested.
If I recall correctly, you actually were talking to your friend in your kitchen.
I was, and we had a glass of wine. We had ice cream in front of us. We were sad about the Kavanaugh hearings, the outcome, but it really was effective, and it was super fun, and a super fun way to, like I said, talk about it and get people wanting to take action going forward.
Great. Can you make any comments about boosting on Facebook or advertising on Facebook?
Yes. So Facebook is such it's actually really, comparatively speaking, and I think you spoke to this earlier, pretty inexpensive to, again, really broaden your audience for a very small cost. So just to give you a quick example, we had an implicit bias training about a month ago at a restaurant here in Minneapolis. And, while we wanted our members to attend, we really felt like it was something that, not only could engage others bigger, outside of our membership, and something that we wanted to share with the community at large, but we also, in doing so, felt like if we make this event available or visible at the very least to more people, you never know who's out there that might want to get engaged and involved and start really maybe coming to other events and wanting to do other things with NCJW. So for that particular event, I wanted to see kind of what our outreach could be outside of our membership. And so I think I paid like $14, and I was able to choose my audience to boost my event to a larger audience outside of the people that only like NCJW and would see it in our feed normally. It actually showed up as a sponsored post on their page to people that, a chosen a chosen group that I was able to filter down by geographic location, age, friends of people that liked NCJW Minnesota, in the hopes that maybe it would catch their eye and have them be interested in coming to the event as well.
Great. I'm going to ask you one last question, and then I think we should open it up to questions. I see that there are a bunch in the chat already, and I'll try and get to those, but I want to know, can you give an example of a digital organizing campaign that you've worked on that has been successful?
Yeah, we're actually in the midst of one right now. We are working with a couple of other groups here on drawing attention to some of the abortion restrictions in Minnesota that people may not know about. Now, granted, this is a kind of a large-scale project and involves a lot of organizations, but we have been working in coalition with these organizations trying to lift up these messages about, like I said, these abortion restrictions that are happening in Minnesota that not many people know about. And basically, they had a design firm, a creative design firm who was wonderful and came up with a bunch of, pictures and social media posts and a lot of the things that you guys do at National, where you'll provide kind of, a template for what we should be talking about, and taking those and sharing those images, sharing those phrases, sharing those stories. And like I said, with everybody working in coalition and all of us sharing those stories at the same time and reaching this very broad audience has been super effective in getting that messaging out. And it's going to be a huge campaign, but we started from a digital messaging platform. And so it's been incredibly successful in the couple of weeks since it's launched. And it's basically stealing other people's material, which no one should be above, because we all steal from each other. And that's what social media is about, is kind of replicating that message and getting it out there to a very broad audience.
Thanks. Is there anything you want to add before we start taking questions from everybody else? I think, I can't speak for everybody, but I know that sometimes social media can seem intimidating, like you're going to say or do the wrong thing or what have you. I think my best advice is to just kind of be brave, test it, go for it. Like I said, start, at the very least, lifting up the messages that National is providing for you. That's a really easy way to start your social media messaging, and then start following the other organizations to see what they're doing, because you never know what kind of ideas and creativity that can spark for your own section. Great, thank you. I see that there are already a bunch of sort of technical questions in the chat, and I'll try and go through those pretty quickly. Someone asked what Canva is. Joanne, thank you for answering. It's a free service. It helps you create graphics really easily, and it has the dimensions already in there for Twitter, for Facebook, for Instagram, so that you don't have to do any of the real work. Sometimes it can be a little frustrating to line things up, but otherwise it's pretty easy to use. Is there a list of NCJW hashtags? There's not a list. That said, there is a, if you follow us on social media, you'll see the ones that we use a lot. Sort of our general ones for our courts work, always hashtag courts matter. For abortion access, you will see many hashtags. For whatever reason, they are all escaping me right now. Be bold and hide is one that we use a lot in regard
Stop
to
abortion bans.
Stop abortion bans. But watch our feed and you'll see them all. Let's see. Oh, there's so many here. Let's see. What are all the logos? The logo, by logos, I assume you mean graphics, although I'm not. Oh, yes, and it's been answered. Yes, they were Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. I would have to go back and look, but they're just the logos for different social media apps. Oh wow, there's lots of discussion about Canva here. This is great. Keep putting questions in the chat, and I will try and get to them. I see that there's a whole bunch of new messages here. While I'm waiting, I'm going to tell you about something I learned about today for social media that I thought was great. So on Facebook, when you do a Facebook Live, there's an option to close caption it, but sometimes it doesn't work very well, or you have to go in and put all of the information in yourself. There are now apps that you can put on your phone that will automatically caption your video. So for audience members who can't hear so well, it's really helpful, and it makes it super easy to caption your posts. Our new CEO taught me that yesterday. I felt a little bit stupid that I didn't know already, but I didn't. How do you add a visual to a tweet? Oh, there's a lot. Everyone's helping each other. I love this.
So great. Can I add a little something, Amanda? Just scrolling through the chat. I saw someone, I think it was Carolyn, saying having a disclaimer post, and sometimes you get they call them trolls on social media, where you're going to get people that are saying some not so nice things. Excuse me. I think personally, and you may differ in opinion on this, we've had our fair share of these things happen, and I think the best response is no response. You don't want to feed the trolls, as they say, because that just exacerbates a situation, and it can be really hard not to engage with people that are saying some really vile things. But I think that it's pretty important, particularly when you're representing an organization, to just kind of, take the higher road, so to speak, and stay quiet. I don't know. Would you agree with that, Amanda? Or do you guys?
I do. I encourage you to think about Facebook and Twitter as if you were speaking to your grandchildren or your children. Like if you're speaking to a 5-year-old and they say something vile, you don't say something vile back. You either ignore it, or you privately talk to them about what they've said and why it's wrong. Facebook and Twitter and even Instagram in some measure are methods for people to get some really hateful things out there. The more you feed into it, the more press they will get. I will sometimes, in an effort to just not rile people up, hide comments. So you can just click on the side of it and it'll give you an option to hide. I do that, and it only doesn't hide it from the person who wrote it or from the people that are connected to them, but it'll hide it from anybody new seeing your page. It is very rare that I will actually report someone. I save that for threats or really, really racist or anti-Semitic behavior. We actually reported someone just about 2 weeks ago, and it's the first time I've done it in a very long time. But I felt it was necessary. Just wasn't it wasn't an appropriate thing, and it was highly anti-Semitic.
And also, clearly, if someone is being threatened in some way or something like that, I mean, obviously, you do that, right?
And that's in the same button. When you click on the side of the comment, it'll give you an option to report them. So there's a question here about scheduling postings. We schedule ours all the time, and then sometimes we, we'll go in and change it, or we'll add something, but scheduling makes it really easy to do things in advance, particularly on Facebook, where you really don't have to be as up to the minute. If you're going away, just schedule some posts to keep your page active.
And how do you schedule posts?
How do you schedule a post? So you go, so we use TweetDeck, or actually we use Buffer at the National Office, but there's a program called TweetDeck. It's free. And you can schedule all of your posts in there. You can actually schedule it right on Facebook as well, but it's not as convenient and is a little harder to share with other people. But you just go in, you type in your post, and there'll be a little option for it to say, like, I think it's a little clock or something, and it'll ask you when you want to schedule your post, and you just pick the time. On TweetDeck, you can pick the time and then put in language and put in the photograph or the graphic and leave it until, and then hit schedule, and it will send it at the appropriate time. Christy, in Minnesota, do you use one of those programs?
We use Buffer, and I really wish I was more diligent about it, because to be honest, if you get on a schedule and you do it regularly, it will make your life so much easier. And it's pretty user-friendly to use. And so we use Buffer for scheduling here.
Great.
And Buffer is free.
So there have been some questions on here asking me to show an example. And I just need to pull up some other things and then share my page with you. So if you just give me a second, I'm going to stop this share, and then I have to actually open my Twitter. Okay, wait, I'm being directed. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. No, because there we go. Hang on just a second. Okay. So then I'm gonna search wait, I need this. Tell me which one you want me to show. I'm just looking for okay, here's an example. So hold on, let me come back to you and let me share this. Share. Okay. This is actually a pretty good example. So we posted this morning. You may have seen it in your inbox. We also sent an email about it. There are resolutions in both the House and the Senate reaffirming a two-state solution. We joined with with 9 other organizations, pro-Israel organizations, to encourage to say thank you to the House and to encourage more representatives to sign on to the resolution, and have people call their senators and encourage their senators to sign on to the resolution. So if you see this, if you look at this post, it's a call to action. We use these fun little graphics, which, to be honest, I have no idea where you find them. Alicia, will you tell me where you find them?
It's like the emoji.
Oh, so when you go to hit the tweet, there are emoji buttons and you can choose them. And then we tagged all of our partners here. So Trua, J Street, New Israel Fund, Amenu. And then there's a way for you to get to the actual action. There is no hashtag in this one. So I'm going to show you another one that uses a hashtag. So hold on. So here we go. This is a quote from Audre Lorde, and it hashtags Wednesday Wisdom, Juneteenth 2019, and Pride Month, and has another emoji. Oh, thank you. I'm getting direction from my staff now. So if I click on Juneteenth, you will get, what just happened? Oh yeah, you will get, so you'll see at the top left-hand corner of the screen, it says Juneteenth 2019, and you will get all of the things that hashtagged Juneteenth. So here is something from Essence Magazine. Here's someone named Davian Chester. Everything will be in there. I mean, it's millions of things. I'm not going to go through all of them. And then you'll see the trending, all of the trends. And right now it says Washington trends, but you can change this to any of these locations or to just be in the United States. And this is a promoted thing. Child's Play movie is not actually trending. Don't be fooled. So Juneteenth is the first one, reparations, Ta-Nehisi Coates, Clean Power Plan, which I don't know what it is, but we can figure it out. So you can see all of them, and it's a way to see what's trending, and you can follow it if you're really intent on your own area. So if you go to the top here and you say you want to change Washington trends to Norfolk, and done, we'll see what's trending there. So still Juneteenth, but Mike Conley moved up, and apparently Whoopi Goldberg is trending. So you'll see that's different in different areas of the country. And so you can potentially get, I don't know why the Grizzlies is trending in Norfolk, but I don't know. Anyway, you can try and use that for your own area of the country. Oh, I thought she was telling me I was doing something wrong, but no. One thing I just want to remind everything of is that we are all 501c3s, and try and keep that language as close as you can to try and keep that language C3 friendly. We cannot promote or disparage candidates for office. We can talk about political things, but we are not a political organization in that way. So if you have questions about our C3 status, you can contact Ari or Lindsay Morris, and we can all walk you through it. So, I'm going to go back to I have to stop this share, and I have to go back to the PowerPoint. Hold on. Share PowerPoint. Okay, so it is 2:22. So I want to get through the rest of the takeaway actions quickly. All right, here's your to-do list. Follow your policymakers at all levels on various social media. This is from your local policymakers and legislators to statewide to national. Make sure that you're up to the date on what they're working on so that you can track them, so that when you go lobby, you have things to bring to the conversation. Create groups on Facebook. This is actually probably a bigger conversation for another time, but you can do this to build your own coalitions and to build more rapport on your own internal groups. Use social media to establish relationships with members of the media, especially on Twitter. Tagging reporters, tagging people works. It really, really does. If you tag them enough times, they will start to follow you. And the way it works in an ideal world is that then you would influence what they're writing about. You have to get to a certain point to get that done, but at least keep it in mind because it is possible. Okay, and that's it. That's all you have to do. It's not, I know it sounds daunting, but it's not actually that hard. And for most of you, I think you're probably on most of these media already. So I'm just gonna make sure there aren't any last minute questions. And remember if you're new to this, the first thing you should be doing is following national, and following your local section and following other sections. Most of our sections do really great work on social. So they're good to follow. It's 2:24. Ari, do you want me to wrap it up, or do you want to grab a few more questions?
If folks have more questions, otherwise, happy for you to wrap up if that makes sense. We can give folks a few minutes back in their day.
Okay. Great. If anyone's watching
Amanda.
Yes.
Hi. I'm happy if you would like to, and if anyone would be interested, you can certainly share my email address, or I can share my email address if someone wants to contact me directly if they have questions, and I'd be happy to help them through anything that I've
Okay.
done social media wise.
I'm just going to type it into the chat here. Oh, actually, Stephanie's going to type it into the chat here because I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Or if you guys just want to share funny memes and stuff, I'm down for that too.
Okay, so great. So if you have any questions, reach out to all of us. And actually, I'm going to ask Stephanie, and you can't see her, but she's sitting right here, Stephanie Cohen. You saw her picture in the beginning. She's the Associate Director of Marketing and Communications. She's going to put my email address in the chat as well, and the rest of the comms team. And then, as Ari said in the beginning, this whole webinar will be up on our website soon, so you can access it. And thanks all for coming. There will be another one every single month. There's one on the 3rd Wednesday of the month at this exact same time. We'll be sending out an email teasing it shortly, and we hope to see you all again. Thanks, Christy, for helping.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.